one turtle toy under your Christmas tree this year. And if you've ever wondered what twisted minds created the shelled superheroes, we've got the answer. The two men, the heroes on the half shell, called Dad. These stories next on Personalities. Hello, everyone. I'm Bill Sternoff, and welcome to Personalities for Christmas Eve, 1990. They may be under your Christmas tree right now. Chances are they've just arrived in your newspaper, and they're definitely all over town. They're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they're as hot this Christmas as they are ugly. But to Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, ugly is beautiful. As we first told you back in September, they're the guys who created the monsters and went on to make the millions. Since our story, Eastman and Laird certainly haven't kept a turtle's pace. In fact, they've expanded their empire into nearly all parts of the world. Greg Risch met the pair who started it all.
Awesome!
Excellent!
Cowabunga! I love being a turtle!
You want to live your life and be happy and not be hassled, but when trouble comes, you want to be able to handle it. And that's exactly who the turtles are. You know, they don't bother anybody, they don't go out looking for trouble, but when it comes, they kick butt. You know,
and that's sort of like Eastman and Laird.
Well, I don't know if you can say that. But...
Meet Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Laird, married with a one-year-old daughter, is the one in the glasses. Eastman, a bachelor, is the younger one with the mustache. In spite of their very different looks, they share an absolute passion for comic books. It was that passion that led them late one night, 7 years ago, in Laird's living room, to draw their first Ninja Turtle.
It was a goof. You know, it was watching too much of the A-Team and the Love Connection and feeling punchy and being up late and, you know, just having fun.
To this day, we can't figure out why we chose turtles or what the reason was, but I did a sketch to try to make Pete laugh, and it was a Ninja Turtle. I dubbed it a Ninja Turtle.
It worked.
The turtle standing upright, yeah, and it worked, and he laughed, and of course, had to do his own version to top my version, which I had to do one to top his, and we sort of got into this dueling sketches type thing. And by the end of the night, we ended up with a sketch that had 4 turtles on it, each of them with different weapons. And Pete had added, to top the Ninja Turtle part, Teenage Mutant to the Ninja Turtle that I...
Why did you have to be a mutant, Peter?
Oh, it just seemed to fit, you know. I mean, otherwise, why would these turtles be standing upright and wearing bandanas and holding weapons? It actually fit so well the weird nature of the whole concept. You know, what could be the last thing you think of as a lithe, athletic ninja, you know, a turtle.
Even though they were excited by turtles, almost no one else was. So Eastman and Laird scrounged up $2,000 to launch the Turtles comic, and the rest is turtle history. Sales of the adult version built steadily. Soon, a second color comic aimed at younger turtle fans was added. Then came the movie, the TV cartoon, and the products. Over 3,000 of them so far. Turtle toys, clothes, and foods, all of which will bring Eastman and Laird over $100 million. Not bad for two guys whose last jobs were as a bank clerk and a lobster cook. Mm-hmm. And now to quote one of your characters, cowabunga, dude, you are rich.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, we're rich.
We're rich. Filthy, stinking.
The fame and fortune have made Eastman and Laird a bit secretive. Their studio is located in Northampton, Massachusetts, but that's all they would tell us. One of their assistants driving that van up ahead led us to the unmarked warehouse where their staff of artists work on the various turtle enterprises. Inside, we discovered 2 grown kids still in love with comic books and who are a lot like 2 of their turtles.
You know, Raphael is kind of the hot-tempered, wacky, fly off the handle. That's exactly how Kevin is.
And Pete's more like Donatello, which is Pete is one of these people that loves gadgets and computers, and you know he'd come in with his watch with his calculator on it, which is you know you can record phone numbers in it. And all.
Let's show it. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know, so as well as Donatello being sort of more of the pacifist of the group, where you know, he would rather spend time doing computers than sometimes romping around with his brothers, you know, raising heck, you know.
What kind of kids were you when you were 12 years old?
Oh, real nerd. So nothing has changed. Well, I like to draw a lot. I was drawing since I was a little kid.
And what were your favorite comic books? Are you sitting there in your bedroom with 1,000,000 comic books?
Oh, well, my parents wouldn't really let me have 1,000,000 comic books, and I couldn't afford them, actually. But I did have this great store that I went to after Sunday school, where they had these huge piles of comics in the window for 5 cents a piece. And the big thick ones were 25 cents, but the regular comics were 5 cents. And I liked all the DC comics, Batman, Superman.
Reading comics was a great way it would be just a way to take you away. I mean, you got 1 or 2 TV stations on the black and white TV, so that wasn't much fun. And so you'd read a lot of these comics and then try to imitate your
Whole
favorite.
different world.
Oh, yeah, whole different world. And I think it was when you realized, the exciting part of when you started drawing the comics yourself, that you could yourself create your own adventures.
Make no mistake, while Eastman and Laird remain unspoiled, they do like making money. The latest gimmick will be a nationwide tour for a live rock group wearing the Turtles costume.
The dream really came true when it's like, I didn't have to cook pizzas, I didn't have to bag groceries, Pete didn't have to bounce little balls off eyeglass lenses. We could actually, pay our rent, keep ourselves in macaroni and cheese, if you will, or whatever, and draw full time. We could actually support ourselves drawing something that we love, more than anything.
So, what have the creations of Eastman and Laird been up to lately? The Turtle Tour has been a big success. It was scheduled to end in June, but now there is talk of extending it so they can take it overseas. Their latest video, it sold more than 8.5 million copies. And just 2 weeks ago, their comic strip premiered in more than 200 newspapers.